afternoon. Today is May 22nd. We're going to get on with another episode of SPL action. Today, we've got Europe, and so today I've got Toli. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm just excited for the games right now. First up, we got Enemy versus Randozos, and then the next match, we have Eager versus Thor.
Yeah, we've got a nice sort of setup going on for you. So Enemy versus Randozos. Everybody understands that Enemy is pretty much the top card in this contest, but with Randozos leading out the pack at the bottom, 2-16, they have been performing a little bit more powerfully this past couple of weeks.
A little bit more consistency. They still have a little difficulty closing out some games, but each and every single game, they're getting better with their performance. There's still going to be a long hill for them to climb to get out of relegations, but it's not out of the question for them. Enemy, on the other hand, have to be very careful against Randozos because if they lose this set, LG and Eager are trailing right behind them, trying to knock them out of that second, third spot.
It's kind of rough for them. As we said, there's a lot of contestation going on trying to go to DreamHack. On the other hand, Thor and Eager, both of these teams have been looking just as good as my hair. Shouts to chat. These guys have been on like absolute fire. Eager are a little bit more, I would say, bombastic, but Thor has really proven to be very, very consistent.
Speaking of consistency, Eager, they started off the season at 2-4, and now they've been on a 9-1 streak. They're looking really good.
You know, it's actually interesting. A lot of people were asking me earlier today on First Period who I had for Eager versus Thor. And realistically, I think like split is probably the safest thing you can say in that situation. But so here's my breakdown, and I want to know your take on this one. So when it comes to Eager versus Thor, I feel like Thor wins a little bit more often. 55% of the time, Eager wins 45 against these two head-to-head. But when Eager win, they win bigger. How do you feel?
Well, with the speed changes, DJ Pernicus has been playing on point, especially with the best. His positioning has been really well. It's going to be dependent on how well Thor has done their homework to prepare for Eager. There are some strategies that Eager consistency run, whether it's the Circuit Jungle or the Scylla middle, so that's something Thor's going to have to take away from the table.
Coming back to Enemy versus Randozos, though, what are you looking at mainly for this matchup? Like we said, Enemy pretty much predicted to be the stronger team, but Randozos have been proving to be kind of there in the past couple of weeks.
They're going to have to throw a wrench at Enemy and do something consistently together using some globals, catching Enemy off guard, whether it's going to be the Mercury jungle, a Janus middle for Adoro as well.
I'm really looking at Whalrus, honestly, over there in the solo lane. I think Whalrus has been a big part of what has allowed Randozos to be a little bit different and a little bit stronger. So as we head into picks and bans, we'll see what Whalrus winds up with. It's going to be Enemy versus Randozos now.
Polar Mike looks for the taunt. He's going to find it on Varizial. Nice gap shield. Varizial forced to beats, makes it over the wall. Oh! Scary D snipes him out.
Really impressive. Scary D blind shot over the wall.
Stand against the wall, and you see Skeeledon bring minions towards the wall. Whalrus
turning up this match. First blood on Divios. Looks like they're falling apart. PainDeViande got a cataclysm. And the top! He busts her off!
There's that Janus you were talking about. Wonderful seed on Randozos. First pick for the clowns, honestly. Forget about the bans before they even come out. What does Randozos want to pick?
I think that they want to pick Global Pressure, and more specifically the Janus on Adoro. That's going to allow Skeeledon to roam around the map and get out of safety with the portals, with through space and time, as well as the threshold. So that's something that I want to see Randozos abuse, the global pressure out of Adoro.
So that's something that you've mentioned quite a few times now, is the global pressure. Really expand on to me why global pressure is so important for this Randozos squad.
Especially against Enemy, they like to do those early gold furies. So if you don't have that global pressure and you misstep one step too far in the solo lane, Enemy will get the gold fury and there's no counterplay available to Randozos.
So it's really just about combating that strong objective shot calling that we've seen out of Enemy. They're aware of it, and Enemy ban out Zeus and Isis, both mid laners looking at Adoro, who's been very powerful and a big part of why this team has been rather successful this season. So with those two off of the table, Randozos go right for the global, and they select Athena.
It's a good pick to have here. It's going to allow the safety net in the solo lane, Whalrus versus Marauder. Marauder known to play more aggressive. He's going to look for those plays, try to get ahead early on, look for some invades, look for those rotations. Now he's always going to have to worry about the Athena from the support assisting that solo lane matchup. And on the flip side, Enemy taking Janus away from Adoro.
Now this is a fantastic pick for Enemy. Not only is our Enemy trying to avoid some of the globals on the side of Randozos on the order side of the game, but also Khaos came out recently and just showed Janus, and he had some of the best games of his entire career, realistically. So, yes, I'm sure Khaos is more than happy to follow up the next week and pick up Janus again, and Thor will be selected for Varizial most likely, again, to deal with sort of the global composition that Randozos might be looking for.
There's a lot of synergy between Janus and Thor. They can go aggressive and they can escape together whenever they need to, whether they use their ultimate separately or whether they go through the same ultimate of Janus. On the flip side, though, Randozos picking up the Batz and the Soul. Soul not necessarily known where we're going to place it for Randozos yet, whether that's going to be the middle or hunter position.
Yeah, a little bit of flexibility there coming out from Randozos as Enemy go ahead and finalize their first half composition. Sobek, Thor, and Janus. All three of these gods are generally just one size fits all, I think. Sobek a little bit less, but you can pick Janus and Thor in virtually any composition. Sobek sort of showing your hand a little bit. They're looking for some of that displacement. On the side of Randozos, what are you seeing with their first half?
With their first half right now, they have a lot of CC between the Batz and the Athena. A little bit of follow-up off of the Soul. We'll see how the laning phase goes, whether that's going to be the Hunter or the middle position. Against the Sobek in the dual lane, it's more than likely should be Soul in the middle. You don't really want to put Soul against the Sobek. If you get plucked, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Now, the Artemis banned out by Randozos. Artemis Sobek is one of the older lanes. When you look at Smite of yesteryear, 2012, 2013, 2014, you're looking at Sobek Artemis to be one of the more aggressive, dominant lanes. And PandaCat on Enemy has been really just out of this world on the Artemis. So banning her out. She's a little bit strong in this meta. She's a little bit strong in the hands of PandaCat. You combine the two, you just don't want to play against it. So 2 hunters banned out by Randozos looking directly at the Cat of Pandas. And Enemy will go with the Xbalanque for the selection for their hunter.
Which is also really good. PandaCat very comfortable on the Artemis, like you mentioned, even picking up Blink at times just to be the aggressor. And having Khaos on Janus will allow the Artemis to escape. So that's kind of why Enemy has adapted this strategy. With the Soul pick in the lane as well, Artemis traps would have synergized very well off of the pluck. But now with the Xbalanque, there's a lot of good global pressure. Whenever Thor's up in the air, the Darkest of Nights will come out. It's going to be very difficult for Randozos to respond to those two combos.
Enemy's initiations are going to be really, quite frankly, quite literally lights out. Xbalanque is on the table. With Nox in the mid lane, though. Now, Randozos, Nox is a character that we don't see a lot in the SPL. She's totally playable, totally there, she's a good pick. But specifically on Aduro, I feel like Aduro, the more that I see him, he streams occasionally. I see Aduro play Nox more than almost any other player in the SPL. What is Aduro looking for with this Nox?
A little bit of surprise coming out of Aduro on the Nox. He's trying to catch Enemy in a situation that they weren't prepared for. They were expecting either the Poseidon or the Janus or the Isis. A lot of those gods were banned or taken away from him, so he's been practicing the Nox, throws it at Enemy, and if Enemy gets caught out by the root, that's going to be a lot of follow-up damage.
I like what Nox brings as far as a Thor fight as well. A lot of these characters that are sort of front-loaded with their damage, deal your kit and hope they die at the end of it. Nox's ultimate will remove some of the damage that they're able to bring out. Whalrus also going to be on his namesake god Osiris. He's been very, very strong this season. Will it be enough to take down the top-seeded Enemy? We'll take a look as we get into game number 1.
Oh, but PandaCat with rotation. Desert's Fury on point.
Yo, PandaCat is on fire right now.
Purification forced by Homiefe. Homiefe trying to make it work, but Khaos definitely making it work. Morrowind takes a spill. 4 kills in total for Enemy. Here
Actually
comes
going
Enemy.
to end.
They're going to skip the Phoenix. The surprise win from Enemy. Luminosity had no idea. There's PandaCat on that new Xbalanque skin. Just another late game hunter for PandaCat to devastate people with. I mean, what is it about PandaCat that makes him so strong this season?
It's the way PainDeViande leads the team already, leading the team with a pluck onto Skeeledon, forcing to get his jump, and a curse on top, getting a first blood on PandaCat with a stack.
Huge deal. PandaCat going to start the game off before the game even starts off with 5 additional power. What a boon for the hunter.
The way Enemy explored this opening strategy, picking Sobek, getting curse on it, recognizing that even if they catch the Batz, he would jump away, but then they have the secure with a curse. The beads weren't used on the Batz to get away from it, but it didn't matter. The damage was just too strong anyway for Enemy.
I mean, it doesn't matter what god you are. Janus can walk through a wall. Outside of that, a level 1 Sobek with a curse, you're not escaping it.
Not at all. And
You're
now the
just
laning phase in the dual lane for enemy is going to be that much stronger. Randozos are going to be in serious trouble. Soul Athena is going to play passively under the tower consistently, and enemy is going to be looking to explore invades onto the boars and onto the reds as a result of that one little play.
I mean, this is the absolute ideal situation for enemy. Honestly, I don't think they go for these back camps unless they get that first blood. The additional power, not only do you have 500 extra gold on your hunter, but the additional power. 5 power seems small, but when everybody's coming to lane with 20 at max, right? It's a much different story. So this lane that was already going to be aggressive with the Sobek in tow, they were going to have to deal with the aggressive nature of Meerkat's soul. Well, I think that's quite a different story, and we'll take a look at the long lane as how it develops.
And with that already, PainDeViande looking to set up for another pluck potentially. Even if he catches the Athena in this situation, getting potions off of her is going to set up for the easier invades, like I mentioned, on the boards and on the red buff.
So right now it's actually interesting. Normally, as the game in the mid game or even the late early game, if you will, I think we see that lane get frozen. But because it's the first wave, the enemy just wants the pressure on the side lane, right?
And even if you do put the pressure on and you don't zone them from experience, you're still denying them gold under the tower. Consistency is all about what enemy is about right now, and they're looking very strong coming off the gate.
Now, one of the big things that Soul does bring to this lane is once she's able to clear the wave, she's able to clear it from a mile away. So Randozos do have that in there at their disposal as far as this long lane is concerned. All is not lost, but it's certainly a steeper mountain than I think Randozos wanted to deal with.
And like I mentioned before in the solo lane, Marauder playing very aggressively, forcing Whalrus under his tower, PainDeCat taking a little bit of poke. And once the Athena hits level 5, that's something that she's going to have to consistently look at in that solo lane.
Just always be available for the help over there. That's one of that's the things that separate the middle of the pack Athenas from the true great ones are the map awareness coming out from that support and the ability to help out whoever needs it, or more importantly, sometimes not help out who they need it because realizing that the presence is more needed in that long lane.
Sometimes you have to give up one lane for the better, greater good, especially when that greater good is the Gold Fury side, and you have to respect that. Sometimes Whalrus will have to take a sacrifice. Thor coming for a gank.
And it's going to be off the mark, and Whalrus uses the passive from Osiris to walk right on through. So Varizial, first gank of the game, not going to be on point just yet, despite reaching level 5 relatively early. Here comes the monkey.
Really good timing for Whalrus to have all 8 of his passive stacks to be
Look
able
at this rotation. There comes the Fear No Evil and knocks all the way from the mid lane. Marauder is in trouble, but he gets away, following up his Whalrus. There's the Janus ultimate. It won't hit anybody, and it looks like the rotation from Janus himself will be slow. So Randozos actually set up a really strong gank, but Marauder wiggles his way out of trouble.
As a result, Khaos is able to push the mid-wave. Aduro and Skeeledon are going to miss that mid-wave, and Khaos get the Fire Giant Imps as a result. So even though the gank on both sides didn't work out, enemies slightly come out on top just for that one mid-wave and Fire Giant camp.
Yeah, you see 300 gold in the way of Khaos already. There's a slow coming out from Skeeledon, but good positioning from Janus allows Khaos to walk right on through the wall thanks to the portal and get into no trouble whatsoever.
Already Xbalanque finishing off the golden bow, going to be able to clear the wave very quickly right now. They should be able to play aggressive enemy and look for the boar and red buff as it is respawning very soon.
Yeah, again, 55 power on that golden bow, plus 5, 60 power on the Xbalanque, plus whatever he's got from base. So he's certainly doing his job. And like you said, going directly to the enemy buff, want to steal the red buff. Like to see this on PandaCat. We'll take a look.
And Randozos are not responding to this. They're actually in their solo lane side, just content with losing the red and taking their own speed in response.
I love the ultimate coming out from Pain. Just in case somebody shows up, they certainly can't walk on that lurking in the waters. And at the end of the day, he's going to go back up to full mana as well. So good ultimate coming out from PainDeViande, even though it looked like it was kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Meerkat going to get plucked, going to force the purification as well in the immunity form, and he's going to get chased down by PandaCat.
Yeah, this is commitment. Out comes the ultimate from PandaCat, gets a stun out of it, but not too much follow-up, just 25% HP on Meerkat, and it's going to be enough to send him home, actually. So enemy don't find the kill, but they certainly find a good opportunity to send their opposition back to base. There's a slight lead in the way of enemy. They've got about 1,500 gold above their opposition early on at 4 minutes. Part of that is the first blood, 500 gold immediately on the side of enemy. Where do the clowns, I mean, is this a bad spot? They have a knock, so they're really just looking for the late game? What's up?
It's going to be difficult for Randozos to respond to enemies' early pressure, especially when you have to deal with a Janus and a Thor and a little bit of a fed Xbalanque. It's not easy. Now, the Sobek clearing the red buff with his ultimate, they didn't know where the Randozos and the Clowns were at the speed buff side, so they elected to play it super safe. And right now, enemy's not taking, even though they took a chance of invading the red, but it's like calculated aggression right now.
Exactly, understanding that those ultimates were up, and at the time PandaCat's ultimate was available as well, so there was a number of buttons that enemy could have pushed to get out of jail. Right now, Randozos don't seem to have too much vision, if any. There doesn't seem to be any wards on the map, quite frankly. We have 4 wards placed, 3 of them by enemy. They're not around anymore. And the single ward that Leftsyndrome has placed earlier is not around either.
I wouldn't be surprised if enemy, after this one wave, they all collapse onto Gold Fury right now, especially with dual lane pushed out the way it is.
Yeah.
They push the wave first, middle pushes, they can easily get this Gold Fury for free.
And look at that. Varizial goes ahead and gives a little bit of poke onto Aduro just because. And Randozos, to their credit, they know enemy's game. They understand that, all right, we don't have a lot of vision on the map. Enemy might take advantage of that. He tried to poke me out, and you saw the pings. As soon as Aduro got poked out, the pings onto the Thor, saying Thor's walking in the jungle. Be aware of the Gold Fury attempt.
That Gold Fury attempt did not get started as Xbalanque did have to back. Also, the pings were there for the Thor, recognizing that his global pressure can easily gank the dueling. They can easily do Gold Fury. The map control favoring enemy quite heavily at this point in time.
Just Thor's presence on either side of the map. That's really what we see. When we see that ward in the middle that I always call the Fnatic ward coming out from Reels in the squad, they kind of started that. Everybody gets very meta now. This ward that you see right in front of the tower that enemy have placed down, you see all teams really do that, and especially with Thor. It's less important to know exactly where he is, and more important to know what side of the map he's on.
Exactly. Just the general direction of Thor is more important than the exact pinpoint location. If he goes into the dual lane side, well, obviously your soul lane is fine, and vice versa, as the Athena's going to find a taunt.
And there's an ultimate coming out of Khaos. Big chunk delivered by Aduro, so Khaos going to stay a little bit safer as Varizial pushes up. A lot of poke going the way of Leftsyndrome, and a lot of poke going the way of the mid laner. Whalrus also very low, and Meerkat, or Marauder, excuse me, getting chased out by Skeeledon. He's going to take a tower shot. That's a little rough. And now Aduro wrapping around the side. A couple more basics will secure the deal. Athena's going to come over as well, and it's 1-1. Randozos tied up with a huge commitment to the right side of the map. And now enemy on the left side. Varizial looking more for the gank than the objective. Lands on down, and that's going to be trouble for Meerkat. PandaCat with 2 kills.
2 stacks already. The red buff for the second time being taken away. Randozos need to capitalize this by invading the speed buff for enemy. They can't just not respond to this red buff, as Aduro does come around the corner with Leftsyndrome, but not going to be able to deny the red buff that was stolen. And it's on PandaCat too.
Exactly. So another 5 power going the way of the Xbalanque. Low mana on Varizial, if you guys were wondering why that Gold Fury attempt didn't come after the fact. Without the ultimate out of Varizial and a low mana pool so that he can't even really zone well with the Tectonic Rift or his damage, that's going to be rough for enemy to go for, so they just go for their own jungle.
And right now, enemy doesn't need to force Gold Fury in this situation as long as they're consistency controlling the red buff and not getting invaded in response. They're controlling all these little buffs. These will eventually add up to a bigger team fight and then eventually the Gold Fury anyway.
Yeah, look at this vision coming out here towards the red buff as you see left jungle mid camps being taken. This vision here by the red buff, you see one ward right in between the red buff and the dual lane boars. That's what's allowing enemy to really dictate this entire left side of the map.
They want to make sure that there's no counter rotations coming out of Randozos, and especially when the Xbalanque is this far ahead and you can snowball it by controlling the dual lane side, why wouldn't you place these aggressive wards and try to look for these small little itty-bitty plays?
And we just highlighted the just how much cover as Aduro gets chunked down to half with a single double tap. That ward right there is going to show you when dual lane are doing boars, the rotation from dual lane support off of boars, who's going for red buff, who's rotating in general towards the mid lane. That is a very strong aggressive ward, and enemy get a lot of information for it.
Speaking of aggression, Whalrus is looking to potentially kill Marauder or just a zone between the tier 1 and tier 2 defensive Eagles rally being used, as there's a little aggression in the mid lane. Gold Fury is possibly going to get started by enemy here.
Yeah, they're going to pull the trigger right here. Skeeledon half HP, does have the ultimate available. Fear No Evil, definitely a strong choice. And Meerkat has Supernova available. We've seen a couple of Gold Fury stolen by the Soul as well. There's a hit from Khaos and the damage out of Varizial. What a combination. Khaos certainly still hot. And Colamandre, PandaCat got 3 stacks as he finds the kill onto Aduro.
That is so huge. 3 stacks at the 9-minute mark, and now enemy is going to start the Gold Fury. We mentioned how enemy likes to engage all-in style. The Thor, the Xbalanque, the Thor goes in the air, Darkest of Nights comes out, Khaos throws out the through space and time. And now enemy gets Gold Fury at the 9 minute mark, extending their lead to about 3.6k gold right now.
Just very incredible how enemies able to do what they do. And one of the big things, we keep talking about this PandaCat passive, and that's something that usually just happens later on, late game, and Xbalanque just hits a little bit harder. Having these stacks early game, 15 power, that's half an Ikeval, right? Ikeval stacks up to 30 power once fully stacked. So looking at what PandaCat's able to do here, getting these kills early, especially since he's getting them early, 15 power is half an item. He's essentially even more ahead than the scoreboard dictates.
And just like that, the poke with the poison darts are going to do a lot of damage. The branching bolus as well as he dashes. He's going to try to go for more poke than a kill right now.
Yep.
Going to force more gold being denied under the tower as Athena looks for a gank.
And this is where Randozos have really gotten a lot of their success on the right side of the map. Big transition. Fear No Evil just going to zone off, and Marauder will be taken down. Whalrus gets credit off the assist of the jungle and support.
We mentioned how aggressive Marauder is, generally speaking, and during that gank, he didn't have his Eagles rally available for the escape, so he needs to be more conservative with that, recognizing the global pressure out of the Athena has to be respected.
PandaCat. No respect out of PandaCat whatsoever. Walks into the red buff, gets hit by the Nox damage and the ultimate from Meerkat, and just stands still and long enough to take the red buff.
He knew that he had Khaos right around the corner to bail him out if he ever needs to. Engagement onto Meerkat, getting chopped.
Again, Khaos from across the map finds the hit. Immunity frame's going to be strong enough, but there's the flip and there's the hit. Khaos again with the kill. This guy has been really out of control the past couple of weeks, Toli.
Khaos more than likely should have gave that kill to PandaCat. That fourth stack would have been really nice for them to, get more objective control. Anytime you're trying to min-max in a game like this, that's what's very important.
Yeah, PandaCat will take a tower, though. 500 gold for the Hunter and the rest of the squad as well. So certainly a good look for enemy as they sit up 4,000 gold, or just about very early on, the 11-minute mark. 3 kills up against Randozos. Both kills for the Clowns have come off of a gigantic 3+ player rotation to the solo lane.
I like what Payton did there. He was acting as a mobile ward across the map just to spot who was ever around the corner. He knows that he'll be fine as long as he is lurking in the water safely to get away. Looks like Randozos were able to secure their own speed buff.
Payne gets out thanks to a strong portal from the mid laner. There's 5 members of Randozos in the mid lane right now. You can see enemy going to collapse in response. Nothing enemy really want to be too aggressive with, as that Fear No Evil still online. 3,000 gold, 4,000 gold. It's a big lead, but Fear No Evil can turn it around. Varizial actually going to get smoked out before the Fear No Evil comes down. Skeeledon maybe didn't even need to use that, but goes ahead anyway. There's a lot of damage coming out from Khaos, but Adura on the back line, looking for the damage onto the Crocodile. Whalrus does what he can, but it's not enough to take out the support. Randozos settle for 1.
Really good chain CC coming. Oh, we do have an engagement in the mid lane, Darkest of Nights, and now Marauder coming back in.
Triple stun into the ultimate out of Khaos. That's big damage coming out from enemy. Still number 1 on the damage charts, I bet. And down will fall Whalrus, but he jumps away. Very good play coming out from the solo lane. And Randozos, against all odds, get out of jail.
They get out of jail, but now enemy is going to look to put more pressure into the tier 1 middle tower. Athena ultimate trying to deter enemy away from pushing.
That's a great Athena ultimate right there, just showing up and making sure that enemy can't push out even more.
It's similar to like when you see the teleport coming out of soul laners in the mid lane, you see that big giant circle around the enemy god. You know there's going to be a +1 to the party.
Yep.
And they just have to escape that, and they get the little bit of a trade right now, and they're going to get more buffs in response. They're going to let things die down as the Gofier is respawning within a minute. Let PandaCat get another stack potentially and get more objectives.
So Randozos, as I mentioned, they're paying a lot of attention to the side lane. Scratch that. Man, I thought Khaos was going to be number 1 on the player damage. It's Whalrus.
Whalrus is known to play very aggressive, especially when you're in Osiris in the solo lane.
Yep.
You have a lot of options in your kit to play aggressive, especially when you have assisted ganks on the Athena and the Batz as well.
Which is where I'm going with that. We've seen 3- and 4-man ganks over on the right side of the map. Is that because Randozos, it's successful? Is that what Randozos need to do to sort of limit this lead that enemy has?
Well, they need to do something as they poke out PainDeViande as he forced to pluck away. If enemy's going to play this aggressive, you can't not punish that situation like that. You have to get PainDeViande really, really low, and if you can force him to back, then maybe you can squeeze in a Gold Fury of your own, or you can take these left side mid Harpies that are about to respawn.
Skeeledon poked out.
Purification was used. Just a little bit of poke from both teams as the taunt cancels the Berserker Barrage. Varizial eating a lot of poke. So far, a really good job by Randozos establishing that little bit of poke before the objective comes out. However, they're just not in a position to capitalize on the left side mid Harpies as it does go to enemy.
Leftsyndrome's been pretty strong in the past couple of games that we've seen him. What's your take on What's your take on Leftsyndrome as we see enemy toy with the Gold Fury?
Toying with the goal for your PandaCat. Level 15 already at the 14-minute mark. Getting served another victim as Leftsyndrome was forced to dash away.
Khaos off the mark on that ultimate. Varizial going to land down and find Meerkat on the side. Khaos not off the mark with the Vortex as Leftsyndrome goes ahead and falls down to the wayside. Skeeledon gets poked out thanks to PainDeViande's ultimate. And now enemy going to collapse onto the Gold Fury, already bringing it down to about 90. Make that 75. Very quickly is this Gold Fury falling down, and Pain just playing ultimate zoner. Nobody on Randozos can even think about making their way to the objective. And this one looks like it's going to go down relatively easily. 10, and there it is, 0% HP. Enemy get the Gold Fury, and they're going to extend their lead up to about 7k. Aduro finds the kill on the Pain, but I'm sure enemy are willing to trade their support for that gold.
A little bit of too much zoning coming out of Pain. Initially it was good, but after the Gold Fury was secured, there was no reason for him to continue that aggression. Athena respawning, going to try to find another victim onto Marauder as he's been the consistent target out of enemy.
Another strong taunt. The up-down gets a double stun on a Marauder, but now he might be in trouble. There's the whop, and Skeeledon finds the kill on a Marauder. Very aggressive play there. I don't think you like that one.
So the reason why I didn't like that play, because obviously you're not going to be able to escape, obviously, when you ulti on top of yourself. The only issue is if you ulti away, Whalrus is going to chase you down with his ultimate anyway. The best you can hope for is either getting off a bunch of damage so that there's no objective that Randozos can take from you.
Sure.
So if you poke them out, then Randozos is going to be like, okay, we're a little bit poked out. We're not going to go for the speed buff invade, the blue buff invade, stuff like that.
Which Randozos don't do anyway. Just a little bit careful, I guess.
The poke from the Bellona, yep. So maybe he thought the Thor was around the corner, could follow up off of the Eagles rally, wasn't quite there.
Look at enemy here. Leftsyndrome caught out. Varizial, if Leftsyndrome walked a couple more paces, I think we see a dead Varizial. Or a dead Leftsyndrome. But
especially if he gets caught against the wall, nowhere for him to go. As enemy wants to keep playing aggressive with this little bit of a lead that they established. Going to miss the poke from Varizial, but they're still going to look for additional on the Sobek.
And PainDeViande takes a little bit of poke, but Leftsyndrome takes a ton more. Thanks to Janus showing up. Skeeledon's here as well. I like what Skeeledon's been able to do in this game so far. He's really, well, and why I love the Batz pick specifically, as we see PandaCat in the enemy jungle. That's going to be a dead Meerkat as soon as incorporeal form wears off, as soon as the damage comes. Missed double tap. Well played by Meerkat, finding the wiggles, but PandaCat eventually gets one. Khaos gets the other, and two are going to fall down for Randozos unanswered, as enemy have 5 alive.
That's the 4th stack already onto PandaCat as Whalrus rotates in, trying to poke out Khaos. Athena ulti on top, forcing the Sanctuary. Going to get the tether stun as he's going to have to escape through the wall.
Khaos is going to be fine. Whalrus still around. Leftsyndrome, however, going to dash out.
An important note to make right now for Randozos is even though Skeeledon, like you mentioned, was doing a good job in the solo lane side, the win condition for Randozos is not Whalrus to carry the game.
It's not.
The win condition is to deny PandaCat from winning it for enemy, and that's something that Skeeledon has been lacking, especially after the first blood. All the attention on enemy side should have been focusing the dual lane, because it's very obvious that they're going to continue to play aggressive, especially with Sobek.
And the aggression pays off. Mid lane tower going to fall down as well. Enemy looking very strong. Pain's just going to get stunned. He's totally fine to stay in this Whalrus damage, assuming that his team are going to follow up. You can see how close enemy is here. There's a stun onto Whalrus. Double tap is strong enough, and now Whalrus has to retreat just a little bit before receiving the meditation.
Aduro could have potentially waited a little bit on the route there for the tether stun to connect before the route from the Nox continues to follow up off of that chain CC. Randozos looking like a little bit on tilt almost.
Because we saw that beautiful chain CC earlier on when Randozos found their first kill over in the mid lane-ish. We saw a fantastic chain of CC.
Indeed, but then they couldn't replicate that at this time around, and now consistently behind. They're down about 7,000 gold at the 18-minute mark, as well as 9,500 experience.
You know, it's rough for Randozos, but still, I want to drive home how much different this squad is versus the first couple of weeks. First couple of weeks, this game might have even been over. Enemy would have been leading by at least 5 digits. But Randozos, first of all, the one talking about Skeeledon that was most exciting to me is that Skeeledon has been a big part of these turnaround kills, and the Fear No Evil using it in the right spot. Whether it's to defend the buff right here, we'll see if Skeeledon goes ahead and uses it here. as Randozos trying to chase enemy off of their buff. There it is, the ultimate out of the monkey. Forces Khaos to use his ult and walk out. Varizial going to follow suit. Ultimate out of PainDeViande deals damage to Skeeledon. He's now half HP. But all 5 members of Randozos are here on the right side of the map, while PandaCat split pushes. Whalrus going to avoid the stun, but Leftsyndrome won't. But a wall from Varizial blocks off the entire team of enemy, so they can't follow up. But there's the toss. Aduro in trouble. Sanctuary activated immediately, so the triple stun just not as effective as it might have been. The rest of the team fights on the front side. There's Leftsyndrome zoning off enemy. Great job from the Randozos support, and that's going to allow the team to get out of jail. But now, enemy coming on down the lane, pushing, no kills as Randozos successfully survives. Leftsyndrome plays defense, might trade his life for it, but the rest of the team is healthy, and that's a good look for Randozos.
Enemy was thinking about the bigger picture, which was the tier 2 tower on the left-hand side. They were playing very aggressively on the speed buff in a 4v5 situation, as Varizial more than likely going to get this kill onto Leftsyndrome with the speed buff. It's going to be difficult. PandaCat getting his 5th stack already as Varizial cleans up Leftsyndrome.
That's rough stuff for Randozos. Getting out of that fight originally was a good look. Despite the tier 2 tower going down, getting out and not losing anybody was actually kind of even, right? You lose the tier 2, but everybody stays healthy and stays alive. This is a different story. You lose 3 and you only answer back with 1. Whalrus finds a kill. Now he's aggressing on a Varizial. Oh, Khaos's portal just shuts down the soul inner dream. Could have been a good look for Whalrus, but now aggressing onto Khaos. Very low, can't find the body block.
Not going to find the body block. The portal was just up in time. Whalrus looking for more with Skeeledon around the corner. He does have Fear No Evil as well. Fire Giant being procced. Athena ultimate on top of himself. Khaos going to get caught by Fear No Evil. Going through the wall. Skeeledon needs to get this kill.
Can't find the teleport, but we'll look for the basics. Hit from the mid laner. And PainDeViande's able to kill Skeeledon off of the assist from Khaos. Here's PandaCat on the side, trying to avoid the damage, but trying to deal out some of his own. Wall is good, but Varizial winds up on top of Whalrus. Now that everybody's chasing Leftsyndrome. Level 13 on the Athena. Varizial's 5 levels higher. There's the ultimate out of PandaCat. Basics coming out, and it's enough to make Leftsyndrome stop. Marauder shows up from the left, and that's going to be a dead Athena.
It's going to be a dead Athena. Gold Fury is there. A lot of mobility onto enemy as both the Xbalanque and the Thor having the speed buff. They want to be able to extend their gold lead a little bit further. Not able to find the last stack onto PandaCat, but it's not going to really matter. He's going to back to base and get ready for this next Gold Fury, which more than likely is going to be the next step in terms of closing out the door.
So Randozos kind of allowed enemy to catapult there. That extended engagement on the right side of the map as PandaCat picked up that tier 2. That really put enemy in a situation where they could just waterfall the kills. They get 1 kill, they get 2 kills, they get 3 kills. Enemy wind up with 6 kills in that team fight. That's not even possible unless the team fight lasts long enough for someone to respawn.
And they only find 2 in response, and they're not able to get any objectives, losing Gold Fury already. And that team fight lasted almost 3 minutes. That's probably a record.
And that's something PandaCat finishes up his sacks, 606. That the long team fights are always going to benefit the team in the lead. Usually it's a little more cut and dry. Guan Yu and whoever has the healing wants the longer team fights. But here, it's just the numbers. You have more numbers on your side as a team that's up over 10,000 gold. So enemy, they're willing to take all these fights because as you respawn, they're still going to be healthy enough to kill you again.
And this has been kind of a turnaround game compared to the last time enemy's been playing. The last game that they played, they lost earlier on. They split against Denial in a 25-minute game. And this time around, after that, they want no long games anymore. They want to be the ones to close out the game early, and this time it's going to be against Randozos. And winning this game, like I mentioned, is very important for enemy because they don't want LG or Eager to squeeze behind them.
Exactly. The upcoming schedule is very tough as PandaCat finds his 7th kill with no deaths. That's going to be 17-7. Enemy on top by a whole bunch of gold. This one is huge. Look at Khaos. 4th item, Spear of Desolation. I mean, really, what this item does for Janus, it's less about the passive and just about the numbers. You got a lot of pen and a lot of power on that item.
Janus having a lot. We haven't seen this item in quite a long time because of how expensive it is right now.
It's sheer luxury.
It is a sheer luxury, and enemy feeling the luxury, going to do a lot of damage to Whalrus to take his target onto Randozos, and through space and time, just a little bit off the mark, but it's going to allow the mobility to chase up and get the kill.
PandaCat winds up with number 8. What a good game for the Hunter. Khaos also having an extravagant game as well. Skeeledon going to jump away, even with Leftsyndrome channeling on him. It's going to be trouble. There's the shell to save PandaCat. He's very aggressive, and the surrender vote goes through. 19 kills in total for enemy as they sit up almost 20,000 gold above their opposition. Randozos just couldn't hang.
just a little bit off the mark. That invade strategy coming out of enemy was really well executed. And the first blood, the way they did it with PainDeViande leading the charge with the pluck onto the Hun Batz, followed up by the curse as well, getting a stack onto PandaCat was so important for enemy.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the damage coming out for this team from the Xbalanque, and it all started with that first blood, as you said. I mean, really, what are you going to do to escape a Sobek with curse?
There's no way. Even if when you jump away, he would have to preemptively use Purification as soon as he lands to avoid the curse getting slowed. And even then, the damage was too hard, too much for enemy.
And this is what happens when you give Xbalanque an early kill. One kill quickly turns into two, or there's a third, and then this just even more so. Look how hard the Xbalanque is just swinging right now. Able to turn around, realizing that Meerkat has too much immunity, and just turns around, finds a couple of crits on some other players, winds up with a kill out of Meerkat. I mean, this damage out of the Xbalanque when you give him the stacks early on is just really hard to dance with.
And it was basically because the fact that Randozos failed to respond after the first blood. Even though they did get first blooded early on, they had to recognize where the attention from the rest of enemy would be, which was the dual lane, and Randozos didn't respond. And then to follow that up, Khaos played really well as well.
Yeah, keeping on the hot streak that Khaos has been on for the past couple of weeks. This guy had the best performance of his career, in my opinion, last week. And this game, I mean, PandaCat stole the show simply because PandaCat was just everywhere. But as soon as Khaos showed up, I mean, these team fights drastically change when the Janus shows up.
With the Janus showing up, the past couple of sets for Khaos has been really well for Janus. However, we forget quickly his other guys that he used to play, like the Zeus and the Rajan. This is why he's been leaning more towards Janus right now, because he doesn't want teams to ban him out. So that's why he's trying to diversify everything.
It's all